How do you gut someone?
Always trust my gut.
Hello and welcome to Gutted. I'm Aleece.
And I'm Tony, and we're here to spill our guts about horror films. Thank you for watching and or listening to another episode of the Gutted Horror Podcast. If you're new to the podcast, please subscribe or follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, all the major platforms where you might find podcasts, Apple Music, Amazon, and so forth. You can find us at Gutted Horror Podcast or on Twitter at Gutted Horror. You can also email us at guttedhorrorpodcast@gmail.com.
That's true. Good job.
And you may notice that if you're watching this on YouTube, there are a few little differences to the set.
Because it's first of all, it's been a while, right? Since
It's been a little bit, yeah.
We've been on a hiatus.
We just started and then went on a hiatus, but that's okay.
Yeah, well, we had, jobs that took us in opposite ends of the country. So we haven't been in the same state even for like months.
Yep.
So now we are without Tom. Tom's not here.
Tom's not here. For today's episode, we want to pay homage to scenes in movies that have been made better or intensified by a certain soundtrack. We've devised a list of our 10 best song scene combinations.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like to say scene song.
Scene, song, scene.
Yeah.
Song that you've seen in a movie.
In a scene. Songs
In a
that you've
scene.
seen in a scene.
Yeah.
Combinations. And when we came up with this idea, we immediately went into a panic. We're like, wait, but we have to watch every movie ever made first. And that was a hard feat. So we're going to just make an episode for today of the scenes that we can remember having enjoyed that were placed against a certain song. And then maybe do like episode part 2 scene songs.
Yeah,
Scene song
well, we came up
episode
with a
part
pretty big
2.
list, and there are some, we did sort of like a numbering point system sort of thing to combine our two lists into one list. And there are a lot of songs that didn't make the cut. So yeah, I'm sure a part 2 would be warranted at some point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good movie song, scene songs.
A lot of good scene songs that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
And one day we'll see them and they might get added to our next episode of scene songs that we've seen. So,
and to clarify that these are movies that are non-soundtrack movies. So like all the John Carpenter soundtracks that we love.
out.
A song like John Murphy's
In a Heartbeat.
and
Or
28
In a
Days Later.
Heartbeat. Yeah, really good song. Can't have it.
Yeah.
Part of the score. So,
or Goblin, Dawn of the Dead, or
in
Suspiria,
Tenebrae. Yeah.
Tenebrae.
Can't
All
have
of
it.
those
Gone.
we're saving that for another
That's
list.
a different episode. Yeah.
These are
yeah.
songs that have lyrics
They
and
have lyrics. That's
they
really
may be pop songs.
That's a key criteria is that they have lyrics, because there is a song later that we'll discuss that may have made it into our list that was made for the movie, but because it has lyrics, it gets to sneak its way into the list.
Yeah, and at first we actually didn't have it on the
We
list
didn't.
because we were unsure. It's like, well,
Like,
should we
it
add
was
this?
made
But
for the
then
movie, but
we just threw it in
we
there.
threw it
Yeah.
in there willy nilly. We're not, film historians. Also,
And as always,
we're not perfectionists.
We're not perfectionists.
And
But I was
We're
going to
not.
say, as always, before we get into the
yeah.
talking about our point system and all that, we should warn you that there may be some spoilers. There
will
most likely be
There
spoilers.
definitely will be spoilers.
A lot of these songs happen at crucial moments in a movie, and that's what makes it so great. Of course, there will be spoilers. So we'll try to warn beforehand
or afterhand.
We'll introduce the song and the movie. So if it's a movie that you haven't seen and you're worried about
Press
it being
pause.
spoiled,
Think about it.
pause. I don't know. Yeah, pause, go watch the movie, then come back to it. Or maybe just like skip ahead.
Or just take the spoiler.
Yeah.
It's
Just take
fine.
the spoiler. I don't think any of them are too crazy of spoilers. It's not
Yeah.
like we're like, hey, he sees dead people.
No. That's a good example.
Yeah. It's not going to be that crazy, but
Yeah. Okay. So another thing that's a little crazy is the point system. Because there is a point system. We are not mathematicians. We have taken statistics courses,
Yeah.
but
It's just a really easy point system. It's
Yeah.
our number one song gets
so we
10 points.
We divide, we came up together with 30 songs total.
Yeah, so we had a pool of 30 songs
30
that we
songs to choose
collectively
from.
chose together.
We each went into a dark corner and made our own top 10 scene songs. And
Out of that
from
list of
that
30.
list of 30.
Yeah.
And we ranked them 1 through 10. And then we gave them points. So our number first choice.
The number one choice.
First choice.
Number first choice.
Number first. Got 10 points. And then our 10th choice got 1 point. So
Right.
let's say I picked Jingle Bells from Jack Frost as my
Love that movie. Love that song.
Love that tune.
Was that in there?
I don't know. I'm assuming because it's anyway, full disclosure, that's not in our list.
So if that
But
was your number one song.
Jingle Bells from Jack Frost was my number one song, and it was okay. So if it was my number one song,
Mhm.
it would get 10 points from me alone. But let's say it was also in Tony's top 10.
Let's
and-
say it was my number 2 song. It would get 9 points.
9 points. So then we do
Totaling
10 plus 9.
19.
Jingle Bells gets freaking 19 points.
Yes.
Yeah, so the most points possible any scene song could get would be 20 points. And
Right.
that would only be if it was both of our number one. Anyway, if you get it, cool. If you don't, whatever. Just
We tallied the songs, and then once we had the number of points that each song got, then we ranked those 1 to 10, and that is our list.
that's our list. So
Yeah.
here we go.
Let's get into it. Okay, I will start with number 10 on our list with 4 points is When the Man Comes Around by Johnny Cash, which was the opening credits song to the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead, directed by Zack Snyder.
There's a man going round taking names, and he decides who to free and who to blame.
Zack Snyder came into directing through music videos, so
makes
it is apt that he is making this intro song that was very cleverly giving the audience the backstory of a zombie apocalypse after this really intense scene. Then it's we don't need any of the backstory because this one song, almost music video, because you had these sort of.
And it breaks everything down for you because we get the opening scene with Sarah Polly
Mhm.
and her husband. And then we get the opening credits, and it's images interspliced of I think actual footage with their fictionalized found footage, and also of what is happening biologically with the humans turning into zombies, little slides of cells and cells dividing and mutating.
Yeah, is it some sort of CGI thing, or is
The
I
cells
don't know.
mutating?
Yeah,
I'm assuming so.
right.
I don't think they actually filmed cells mutating. I don't know if you can do that.
And it's a pretty lengthy intro.
It
So they
is.
play most of the
They
song.
do play a good chunk of the song.
They might play this whole song. I don't know. They
Yeah.
play a good chunk of the song.
Yeah, and just Johnny Cash's very somber and almost deadpan voice, just echoing when the man comes around, and you don't quite know who the man is. What is the man? Is the man death? I don't know. Is the man a zombie?
Yeah, and it was also cool for me because this movie came out in 2004,
Mhm.
and this is sort of post 9/11.
Yeah, on the heels of 9/11. Yeah.
And this was right around the time when people were starting to take these sort of videos out in the world.
was
A lot of media
a
was
witness.
looking like this, these really bad cell phone videos. I think this was just maybe slightly pre-iPhone, but people had
But
video
digital
on.
cameras for sure. Yeah. So in this moment, everyone was a witness to what was happening in the world.
Yeah, and so really cleverly, the intro took things that looked like they could be real footage,
Yeah.
and I think some of it might have been real
I
footage.
think they were, very cleverly, intersplicing real footage with the fictionalized found
Yeah,
footage.
so it was a great way to kind of set the tone for the movie, kind of see the societal collapse, and then you get these characters who are well, what do we do now? Let's hang out at the mall.
Yeah.
A lot
But
of other great songs in that movie too.
but you told me that the reason why this scene for you stuck out was because of the setting in which you saw it.
So I saw this movie. I was in Paris actually. I was by myself watching the movie at a mall, and this movie must not have been very popular in Paris because I was the only person in the theater, and the mall was closed. It was like the last showing, and when I got out of the theater, I had this like really kind of eerie
So you were
feeling.
alone and it almost felt apocalyptic.
I think that's one of the big reasons why the remake of Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorites. Definitely my favorite remake.
Well, it's just a good movie.
And just stands out. Yeah.
It stands out for most people, but that experience that you had, I'm like jealous because
I was frightened.
I know. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, watching it, like I think in my room on like DVD. But the fact that you got to experience it in that almost like 4D setting where you are isolated
unintentionally,
and you are,
I didn't know what it was
you're
going
in
to
a
be
foreign
about.
country where you don't speak the language, and that is even more isolating. And I feel like that really helped amplify all of the feelings that I'm assuming Zack Snyder wanted his audience to feel when watching this movie.
I was the target audience. Someone alone in a
Paris mall theater.
Yeah, target audience.
Yeah, very, very niche. Very niche. Good. That was a good one. I didn't have that on my list, but I like that one. Okay, so the next one that we have, or the next ones, it's like a trifecta.
Next three.
Yeah.
It was a three-way tie.
They all got
points
7
each.
points. In no particular order, because they all got 7 points.
So 7, 8, 9. So
yeah.
So we'll just say.
I'll say the first one.
Yeah, don't even say number 7. Just these are the next 3.
Yeah. So one of the next 3, I'm gonna say this one is Lightning Strikes by Lou Christie in 1981's Strange Behavior, aka Dead Kids, directed by Michael Laughlin. I've heard this song before. I had seen the movie. I don't know if Tony had. It plays during this costume party scene in Strange Behavior. And I mean, I get the feeling that Strange Behavior was probably inspiration for Disturbing Behavior. I mean, if not the titles, then because of the subject matter.
Yeah, Strange Behavior, also known as Dead Kids.
Yeah.
They got a rename somewhere in there.
Yeah. In this setting, these kids have this little costume party. They're all dressed up like, whatever, who knows, like someone is dressed up like Flintstones. There's a Dracula somewhere. And when this song comes on, they all just start hopping around, and they start to hop in a very choreographed manner, almost like how you would see Cupid Shuffle these days at a wedding. Everyone's doing the same kind of line dance. But with this one, they are just in unison doing these little moves during this little party scene, and almost the entire song with that veil of mind control happening off in like the background somewhere throughout the movie. It's unclear as to whether or not these kids are in unison because they are all in unison being mind controlled, or they're just kids and they want to feel part of this community, and they want to feel part of something, and they want to be doing the same thing anyway. And so the whole scene is just very jovial but creepy at the same time, that they are electing to do the same thing in a very like automaton kind of fashion, even without the mind control as like an added effect. So I really enjoyed the scene. And the whole movie has several songs that are very great.
We're finding this out about a lot of the songs that we chose a particular song. They might have like 3 or 4 really good songs.
They might have 3 or 4, but I mean, this is the one that stands out to me as like the most salient and the most impactful scene song combination in the movie.
It's a good movie.
It was good. Check it out, kids.
The next one, part of the 3-way tie, is Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys from 2019's Us, written and directed by Jordan Peele. And this movie takes place during the other family, friend of the main family.
Yeah, like the Tylers.
The Tylers.
The friends of like Lupita Nyong'o's family.
They're on vacation. The dad's kind of like drinking his cocktail and
they're unwinding for the night.
He's kind of being like, I don't know what's the word. He's like being a goof.
He's being a baby. Like Elizabeth Moss's character. She's like, honey, I heard a sound outside. Go check on it. He's like, no, I'm done. I'm listening to my Beach Boys.
And they have these twins upstairs who are just kind of doing their thing.
Like on their cell phones.
So he asks the smart radio, is that what we're calling it?
It's like a smart speaker.
Smart speaker.
Yeah.
To play the Beach Boys. So he can relax and unwind, have his cocktail. And then he's kind of like looking outside to see if there's something there. And he's like, oh, there is something there, but he's joking around. And then it turns out that there's the double family.
Yeah, the tethered.
The tethered.
Yeah, the tethered family
coming for them in this really grisly murder scene. It's really creepy too with the tethered twins.
The tethered twins.
Standing there.
So then you have like quadruplets.
And then you have Elizabeth Moss. At one point, she's crawling, she's bleeding.
Yeah, towards the end, like they've all been slaughtered and like, slashed. And Elizabeth Moss is like last man standing. And she is like crawling towards her like doof of a husband for some reason in her like dying moments. Meanwhile, this very relaxing, iconic American song is playing in the background. I'm not a fan of the Beach Boys, but like I can appreciate that the Beach Boys have these very iconic American songs. And
I'm a big fan of the Beach Boys.
Well, okay, cool.
But you're a fan of the song.
I'm a fan of this scene. And I think that's like, that's like a testament to like the scene song combinations that like you could hate that song, but you could love the scene with that song. Mm-hmm. As I do. Hate that song, but love this scene.
But I think you were on the verge of mentioning that she's crawling to
her husband. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, called the police. And then the smart speaker plays Fuck the Police, which is just kind of a nice little funny touch.
Yeah. And it's like, technology. Oh, well, and dies. Yeah, it's a good scene.
That was a great scene.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Also, in this three-way tie, our third movie scene song completing this trifecta is Deo. By Harry Belafonte in 1988's Beetlejuice, directed by Tim Burton.
Daylight come and we want go home. Day is a day. Daylight come and we want go home. Day is a day. Is a day. Is a day. Daylight come and we want go home.
And it's that dinner party scene, of course, and I love this scene so much. I watched it again recently, and I think I love it so much because of Catherine O'Hara and what she does in this scene. How there's a moment of silence where she looks terrified and befuddled, like she doesn't want to speak. And so when she finally does, out comes Deo. Like she knew it was coming, and she's like, I can't hold this in. It's like a burp or something, and that you're like trying to hold in, and it finally comes out and you're like, oh shoot, that's what it sounded like. Well,
what a fun possession.
Yeah,
definitely easier possession than Reagan and The Exorcist. Stabbing herself in the crotch.
Yeah.
Oh, with a crucifix.
Oh boy. A lot more fun than that.
Yeah, Beetlejuice is a nice.
What an antithesis to possession you have. Yeah, so this was a very fun possession. And they're like dancing around the dinner table, and the entire time, like I'm just like watching Catherine O'Hara and her like, I don't know how to stop this. I don't know if I want to. I'm very confused, and she keeps going. And then the shrimp cocktail just like
The monster
emerges.
hands grab him from the face, pull him down.
Scene. Yeah. Oh,
And
so
I always
good.
confuse the scene with the scene at the end. Also, the other the jump in the line.
Jump in the line. Yeah.
Where she's like floating.
Or
dancing.
Winona's floating. That's like her prize for getting like a good grade on some test or something.
So whenever I watch the scene, I was like, why aren't they floating? They should be floating by now. And I was like, oh,
wrong scene.
wrong
Yeah,
scene.
Yeah.
The Deo scene is good.
And another thing that I think is like a good sign of like a good scene song combination is if I hear that song afterwards without the movie, and I think of that scene. And whenever I hear Deo,
I agree with
think
that.
of that scene.
Yeah, I think the song and the scene are connected. And when you think of the song, as you just said, when you think of the song, you think of Beetlejuice.
Two become one.
Yes, even when I'm at a baseball game and they're screaming out Deo, I still think of Beetlejuice.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that like, because like Freddie Mercury used to do that too, right? So
something like that.
Is that Freddie Mercury thing?
I'm pretty sure it's the Harry Belafonte Deo.
Yeah. Okay, it could be. All right. Well, I'm not a big baseball fan, so probably wrong.
But we just went to a baseball game and they did it like 12 times.
And every time they did it, I kept thinking, is this Freddie Mercury's Deo or Harry Belafonte? I thought that every single time.
I always thought it was Harry Belafonte's Deo.
Interesting. Okay. Well, number 6.
Number 6 is so number 6 got 8 points. So only the difference of 1 point from that 3-way tie to 6th place.
Yeah.
It is Red Right Hand by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds from 1996. Scream, directed by Wes Craven.
He's a ghost, he's a god, he's a man, he's a guru. You're one microscopic cog in his catastrophic plan, designed and directed by his red right hand.
Yep, it is.
And this is the scene where the town's shutting down.
For curfew.
And for curfew, everyone's paranoid on heightened alert.
Kids. Yeah.
And you have Dewey and
Tatum and Sid, and it's still like in the brightness of day, and that's why it's so unsettling that like the town is already shutting down for curfew and it's still very bright outside. And this song, it starts with like the gonging of the bells in that very like iconic red right hand kind of a way. And I think Sydney even makes a comment like, oh wow, this looks like the town that dreaded sundown. And I had not heard this song before I saw Scream. And actually it was this scene and the whole franchise that made me interested in Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and I started looking into them more afterwards. So without Scream, I would not have been introduced to Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Yeah,
so
and we were
like
pretty
cool
young
bonus.
in 1996 when this came out.
This particular scene isn't as salient for me as the song is in relation to the entire franchise, because I know this song plays in Screams 1 through 3. I don't know if it plays in Scream 4. But when I hear this song, it makes me think of the whole franchise rather than a specific scene. So I guess it's like kind of a cheat in a way, because it's not just that scene where the town's closing down for curfew. It's the entire franchise. When I hear this song, I think of all 3 Screams.
Yeah, and for some reason, this song didn't make my list, but I don't associate this song with this movie. I love the Scream movies, but I don't know. I have more, when I think of Scream, I think of the like intro scene and the scene at the end, the party scene. That song doesn't necessarily like stand out to me. But it's a great song. When I went back and rewatched when we were coming up with our list, our pool, I thought it was a really good scene, kind of like setting the mood before all the action's going to happen. It's and like I actually knew the song more from the movie Dumb and Dumber. Sadly.
What role did this song have in Dumb and Dumber?
It's when Harry or Lloyd. Is it Lloyd? I can't remember the name, but when one of them are going to buy groceries and then gets robbed by the little old lady.
And they play Red Right Hand.
Yep.
Like the ladies, like the Red Right Hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's...
That's when I first heard this song. And then I later became a fan of Nick Cave and Bad Seed. So I think that's always a good sign if you see a song in a movie and then later you're a fan of that band. Like you discover a new band through the movie.
That's why I love movie soundtracks so much. Is that it's almost like having a mixtape that someone made you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So good job, Wes Craven. Don't know if he picked that personally, but I liked it.
All right. So what made number 5 on this list?
Okay, in our 5th place position with 9 points, we have "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen and 2004's "Shaun of the Dead," directed by Edgar Wright.
Yes.
And this is that scene where
it's the climax of the movie.
The climax of the movie. I think the old owner of the bar, who's now a zombie, has unearthed from somewhere, and the boombox, the jukebox starts playing this song, and
I can't remember how does it start playing? Does it just
someone bumps it?
Someone bumps it. Okay,
someone bumps it, I think, or maybe Ed puts coins in it. Who knows? But it starts playing, and Liz and Sean and Ed, they all grab their tool of choice and they start beating this zombie in unison or to the beat of "Don't Stop Me Now." And it's very comical and well choreographed. And Diane and Sean's mom are moving to the beat of the song, but still watching and raptured by what's going on before them. And so
I think Sean questions the song. He's like, "Why are you playing this song? It was on random."
It's on random. Yeah.
And then he has that really quick line. He's like, "Kill the queen."
Kill the queen, which I'm sure went over well in Britain, or England. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure it was all in good fun.
It's probably for us, we're like, ha ha. Anyway, it was quite a hoot and a holler. I loved that scene.
Also, another example of a movie that has a lot of really good songs. It has white lines in there.
Yeah, and the zombies in the back going, oh, singing along with them. No, he messed it up.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, there is. It's another good soundtrack. All right, in our 4th place.
Number 4, moving right along with 12 points. We have Freebird by Leonard Skinner from 2005's The Devil's Rejects, directed by Rob Zombie.
'Cause I'm as free as a bird now. And this bird you cannot change.
And this is such an iconic scene in horror that I'm sure it's ranked very high on a lot of horror fans' lists of best
scene
music,
songs.
Scene songs, best music choice for a particular scene.
Yeah.
And this one, for me, ranked really high. So for me, it was my number 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the reason why it ranked so high, I'm not even a huge fan of Rob Zombie, but the scene was done so well, and it's just shot beautifully. It has this really nice aerial shot, and it's sort of like the Thelma and Louise moment of the movie
it's right after our central characters just escaped a very harrowing moment where it seemed like it was their end, and they get out at the last minute, and it seems like it's the film winding down. You almost expect to see credits rolling. This is it. They got away. And they're just kind of careening through these mountainous roads. They're exhausted. They're beat. And
they're bleeding out.
They're bleeding out, but they think it's over. And you almost despite how awful they are, you almost like hope it's over because it's been a journey. If like you've watched this movie from beginning to end, it's a hard movie to watch, and that's like a testament to like Rob Zombie's like directing, that he made this movie with these central characters that are so detestable and awful and psychotic.
But he wants to make them lovable.
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like that's Rob Zombie's thing.
I don't
He's making
know
these
if he
horrible
does.
characters that he wants you to like kind of think they're cool or something.
I mean, maybe he wants you to think they're cool, but he doesn't try to make you feel bad for them in any way. And I am so almost in awe. I can't say that I love the movie, but I am in awe of what he did. And he didn't once make you feel bad for them, because he doesn't give you any of their backstories like, oh, well, you know, they were abused as children. It was just, they are just at heart psychopathic people that are wanting to do terrible things to others. But still, despite all that, because they're so beat, you feel their beatness, and you hope that it's over. And then as the car slows to a stop and the whole song's still playing, Freebird's still going, and that's not a short song. And you don't see what they see yet. You just see the car is stopped, and you're like, oh crap. You know what they're looking at, and it pans over and you see the police barricade. And
that moment you're like, you feel for the characters, but the whole movie you like were hating the characters. I don't know, it's just
you feel like in turmoil as an audience member. So I'm like, good job, Mr.
but you know what's
Zombie.
gonna come. It's all shot in slow motion. You know, this is like their final ride.
Yeah,
and then when the song starts to
other.
pick up, then they just go guns a-blazing into
they floor it towards the police barricade.
Yeah, they're getting
during
shot
the
up
climax of this song, and they're getting riddled with bullets, and it's just like the riddling of bullets, you know, just like is placed so well with like the song's climax, and then I think it just cuts into like almost like a skip frame. It was a good scene. Yeah, it made both of our lists. Yeah, so moving right along to our third place theme song.
Third place song. How many points did it get?
It got 14 points.
14. It's pretty good.
So it definitely made it on both of our lists. Is Cry Little Sister by Gerard McMahon from 1987's The Lost Boys, directed by Joel Schumacher. And this song is one of those that we were talking about where like it was made for the movie, but it's not part of the score, and it has lyrics, so it got to wedge its way into our
almost
list.
didn't put it in there.
Almost didn't put it in, but we had to like, you know, we can't have like
we had to kind of decide what our criteria was, and then kind of just making up stuff.
We just made up our own rules willy-nilly.
But the song is in the intro to the movie,
and it's in the middle in like very pivotal moments, and it's like towards the end, so it's like got like a sandwich effect going.
Right, they play it throughout the movie at these pivotal moments. And it's a great song. It kind of has this like really sort of fun 80s synth mixed with like hair band, and
very passionate.
There's
synth.
like a choir element to it. It's very moody, I would say. And just like The Lost Boys, it's kind of like, you know, that opening scene, they're kind of like traveling through the fog. It really sets the tone for the movie.
And like spoiler, it happens during the point of Michael's turn into a vampire.
Yeah, I think there's a statute of limitations against spoilers of movies in the 80s. Can't spoil movies in the 80s.
Well, fine. I mean, there are still some like 80s movies I haven't seen, so I would like them to not be spoiled. I appreciate the spoiler warning. Anyway, I had read though that Gerard McMahon had made the song before having seen like a stitch of the film. And after he saw it, he had said that had he known what was going to happen in the movie, he would not have made the song. He did not want the song to be about the vampire. He wanted it to be more about the longing for family from a rejected youth's perspective.
Right. And you were kind of reading into that as like the vampires are the lost boys. They are the rejected youth.
They are the rejected youth. And so I still
They're trying
feel
to
like
find
it
a
applies.
family.
They happen to be vampires, but they're still trying to find that acceptance in the world. And so I feel like the song still applies. So
yeah,
I don't think Mr. McMahon should second guess himself with this song.
Yeah. And once again, another movie where the entire soundtrack is amazing. Yeah. Plenty of great songs. I have recently listened to the Lost Boys soundtrack in its entirety, and I can say that I liked most of the songs.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Well, very 80s.
Yeah. That gets to be a different list. Like movies that had very well-rounded soundtracks where we just
that would be slow, like very specific song, top 10.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, let's move on.
Number two. Number two with 17 points, which means that it ranked very high on both of our lists, is Death by The White Lies in 2014's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, written and directed by Anna Lily Amirpour.
This one was actually my top choice. It was my number one. I love this scene-song combination so much. I will sometimes just like Google and look for this scene and just watch it. It almost feels like this could be like the music video for the song. And the place in the movie in which this happens is the central male character, Arash. He had, I think, just attended a costume party. He was dressed as Dracula, and he had taken some drugs from a friend. I believe it's ecstasy. And the girl, aka the vampire, finds him and takes him back to her apartment. She does not feed on him. I think she feels a connection. But he's passed out on her bed, and she goes over to her nightstand and puts on a record, and it's this song, and it starts from the very beginning of the song. And Arash stands up, sees this mirror ball entranced by it. He just spins it. And that mirror ball is very key to the scene for me because the actors move so painstakingly slowly that you would think that the scene was happening in slow motion if it weren't for that mirror ball, which is happening in real time. And so I don't know if the actors were just directed to move as slowly as humanly possible, or if they did some sort of like editing there, but they are moving so slowly towards each other, and the suspense is heightening, and they're moving towards each other slowly and slowly and slowly. And they reach one another, and at the song's climax, she actually tilts his head back and gets close to his neck, but does not bite. And the song fades into his pulse and to his heartbeat, and it's a very suspenseful and romantic scene. That's how it ends, is that she does not feed on him. They are just together. And
I remember this movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember it being a bit of a quiet movie. And so this scene really fit with that sort of pacing.
Yeah.
And, I also really like the fact that the song happened within the world of the movie. I'm sure there's a technical term for it, but you know, like when a character in a movie presses play on a tape cassette, or drops the needle on a record player and then they are hearing the song.
Right.
To me, that's something that is always kind of nice in a movie.
Like in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
when
like Son
she
of a
plays
Preacher Man and
Son
Pulp
of a Preacher
Fiction.
Man, yeah.
As opposed to like just music playing in the background and the characters in the movie aren't actually aware of that song. I think it just adds that extra layer of like, they are there in that scene. You're
And
there
it
in that
brings
scene
the
with them.
audience in. It makes you feel like you are with them.
Yeah, like you're in that scene with them. They hear what you hear. So yes, I thought that was a great scene. Love that movie.
Yeah. And
Beautifully shot.
I think it is really hard for people to take time with things, like, because we are in a very fast culture now. And I think to have a scene like that really takes its time is unique.
Yeah.
And to not be bored by it is also unique. So there can be very slow scenes that you're kind of like, meh, turn the channel. But with this one, you were so enraptured by, I think, the scene and song combination that you are so entranced by what is happening. So yeah, good one. I like that one.
All right. So we are to the number one of our top 10 scene songs. And do you want to say what it is?
Is it my turn?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Our first place
How many points?
song with 19 points is Goodbye Horses by Q Lazarus in 1991's Silence of the Lambs, directed by Jonathan Demme.
Nice. 19 points. That means that it was...
This guy's number one.
Yep.
My number two.
Yep.
So it got 19.
19 points. So a near perfect score. To me, Goodbye Horses is another one of those songs where it's hard to separate the song from the scene in the movie. Whenever I think about that song, I immediately think about Buffalo Bill doing his dance, kind of like, prepping, doing his beauty routine. And
he's doing his makeup, he's doing his wardrobe. It's like a cool Friday night for him. And he's totally ignoring the pitiful cries from Catherine Martin's character, or Catherine Martin in the pit in the other room.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever, my victim. I'll get to her later.
It's an amazing song.
Yeah.
We like this song so much that we chose it as our first dance.
Our first dance at our wedding. Yeah.
Which is why I'm surprised that it wasn't your number one song.
I just love that death scene so much from Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Yeah.
I do really love the Buffalo Bill dance and the Q Lazarus song, but
and for those who feel that Silence of the Lambs is more of a thriller suspense movie, I feel like this scene would be the argument that says like this is horror. You have the serial killer who's trying the skin on of his victims, and it's
not at this moment, but he's just like so oblivious to his like psychosis and like his psychoticness.
Right, like he applies the skin, the forehead skin, and putting makeup on over it. So he's so like that's like a pretty horrific scene, and it's just done so well. It's like such an iconic scene.
Yeah,
that's why I chose it.
And
as
it's been parodied, and so I feel like anytime a scene has been parodied, that's like a testament to like how good that scene is, how memorable and universal that scene is that it's even worth being parodied. Yeah. It's a good one. I enjoy it. It's my number two. Sheesh. Every now and then, maybe it'll eke its way into number one position for me. But at this moment, it's my number two. Okay. Well,
cool. So that was our top 10 list of scene songs. We did want to quickly mention some honorable mentions. So Aleece, you have an honorable mention?
I do. It's Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult in the original Halloween.
Mr. Riddle is 87. He can still watch. It's probably all he can do. What's the pumpkin for? I brought it for Tommy. I figured carving a jack-o'-lantern would keep him occupied. I always said you'd make a fabulous Girl Scout.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my honorable mention and not in my actual list because when I went back and rewatched that scene, it wasn't as standout as like the Freebird scene or the White Lies death scene. It was, however, what first got me to start noticing soundtracks in movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love that scene where the characters Lori and Annie are just, driving around in the car and talking about high school things like, oh, Ben Tramer has a crush on you, blah, blah, blah. And the Blue Oyster Cult song is on the background. I imagine that probably was like a popular tune at the time. And yet the audience can see in the back window, Michael Myers is following them in that station wagon. And it just makes it so creepy hearing that song and knowing what your central characters don't know. And it was after that I started really looking into soundtracks and buying soundtracks, almost like a mixtape that the movie made for you. And I think that's why it has to be one of my honorable mentions, just because it kind of got me more interested in actually listening to songs that are in movies.
And my honorable mention is Tim Capello's "I Still Believe" from The Lost Boys. And like I was saying before, lots of great songs in that movie. The movie holds a high nostalgic value for me. And that scene is unforgettable where you have Tim Capello.
Those moves.
Yeah, buff guy with a saxophone dancing around.
Yeah.
Michael's eyeing Star and the crowd's going wild. Like they're like headbanging.
Star's
and, like,
eyeing Michael,
around.
but also really eyeing Tim Capello.
Yeah,
she doesn't know who to choose.
Yeah. It's such a good song, such a good scene. Yeah. That's my honorable mention.
It's a good one. Good one.
Yep.
What? We did it!
Yep, so that's our list. Top 10 scene songs. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Once again, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. If you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, go ahead and download and write us a review, all that good stuff. Really helps us out.
Thank you.
All right. This has been an episode of Gutted.